The media can do it best, but I think that the solution to this would be to have everyone who is interested in media, who is interested in information, to take it as a personal responsibility to make sure that you are consuming the right information and you are also sharing the right information.
Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of M4M organized by FactLens GH. My name is Nana and I'm going to be your MC for today. On this 4th episode of M4M, we are looking at algorithms and you. Algorithms. That sounds like a big word, but what are they? How do they impact you? Do they even impact you in any ways? Algorithms help bring us many of the functional products and tools we use today and every day. It is actually a finite list of instructions used to perform a task. So take, for instance, that you were going to use a Betty Crocker box of brownies. The list of instructions you would find on the back of that box are the algorithms for that brownie. How do they pertain to IT, to communication, and to media? That is what we're going to delve into today. And so I would want you to stick and stay with us. Like I said, in today's episode, we're going to look at what algorithms are and how they pertain to media and communication and how they impact you as a user. Now, because algorithms is such a difficult thing to understand by many of us, I think, we have some very good experts in the field to help us understand what algorithms are. We are going to have to speak to us Mr. Stephen Bwedi. He is a marketing and communications professional with over 20 years experience. His core area of expertise is digital marketing and communication. He has worked with several multinational and local organizations in Ghana, the rest of Africa and Europe, including Sony UK, Barclays Capital, Wembley, Abbey, PZ Cousins Africa, Cresach, Access Bank, ADB, and Bradford and Bingley. Stephen is also a public speaker and trainer on various aspects of digital marketing and communications. He is a CIM UK tutor, as well as a speaker facilitator at such events as Social Media Week, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Mobile West Africa, Block Camp, Bar Camp, Seamless West Africa, and iWeek. Now with a round of applause, can we invite on stage Mr. Stephen Bwedi.
Good afternoon. Hello everyone. Thanks for joining us for this episode of M4M. For this episode, our topic is algorithms and you. For my session, I'm going to talk about what really algorithms are, how they work, especially, and how they influence the way media distribute their content. So we'll try to understand some of the challenges we have with algorithms. So to start with, let's watch this short video. It explains what algorithms really are.
Social media feeds represent big business, both for the companies who create them and the brands that depend on them. And because users' feeds are built on proprietary algorithms, most companies keep the details close to the chest. But Instagram just bucked that trend. the company revealed the 6 things that determine whose photos show up in your feed and when they pop up. This is Algorithmics, the space where we explore how invisible, computer-controlled, database sets of rules are making decisions for us every day. This kind of unveiling is rare. Clearly, Instagram has felt the pressure of user backlash, which has mounted since 2016, when the app changed its reverse chronological feed. To quell the anger, Instagram recently revealed details to news outlets, including TechCrunch. The algorithm uses 3 core factors to build users' feeds: interest, timeliness, and relationship. Interest is how much Instagram thinks you'll care about a particular post, based on your past interactions with similar posts, and in some cases, potentially based on machine vision technology scanning the actual content of the post. Timeliness means Instagram prioritizes newer posts over older. And finally, relationship is how close you are with the poster, determined by how often you interacted with them. Beyond the 3 key inputs, the algorithm considers another 3 factors. The first is how often you open the app, because it aims to show you the best posts since your last session. The second is how many people you're following. If you follow tons of accounts, Instagram might show you less of a specific poster, so you have the chance to see a little bit from everyone you follow. The third is usage. If you tend to check Instagram for just a short period, the algorithm will try to show you the best posts quickly. Instagram swears it doesn't hide posts in the feed, nor does it boost content from posters who use special features like Instagram stories. The feed ranking also doesn't favor photo or video posts overall. But again, your individual feed is tweaked based on your interactions, meaning if you always scroll past videos, fewer may pop up in your feed. So your behavior does help determine whose color-saturated photos and filtered videos you see on Instagram. But the biggest influencer on social could be the algorithm.
Now that was a bit, the video was a bit technical. So you see, it might sound like complicated, but in reality, algorithms are very simple. They are all around us everywhere. In plain terms, algorithm is a series of instructions that are followed step by step to complete a task or solve a problem or even produce a result. So for example, when I was coming here and I heard of the hotel, I put the hotel in Google Maps. And then because of the input that I put in, the Google Map produced the directions for me to get here. That's not using an algorithm. The program that runs it. Okay. In the same way, it can be as simple as even baking a cake. The recipe or the instructions you follow to bake the cake, this sort of algorithm. So that's how simple they are. In computing, they are the set of programs or instructions that are fed into the computer so that when you input something, it produces the results that you want. Okay, as we go on, we'll get a bit more demonstration of some of the things and we'll illustrate them so we'll get it better. Computer algorithms are basically based, like I said, on input and output. So it's the data that you put in that produces what the results that you get. Okay, and sometimes they will say that garbage in, garbage out. If the data that's put in is not accurate, it won't produce the results that you want. Is that okay? Yes, as we go on, I'll mention the fact that there's a challenge now. People often ask the question whether or not social media in particular, the owners of the platforms are actually transparent when it comes to the algorithm that they are using. So that people ask the question, why is my content not being shown? Okay, when you put it, why is it not being shown? Or why is it that 2 different people see different content? Are we okay? So that's what I want us to understand. So typically in computing, for a search engine, you put in a search query and you produce search results. The question I will ask is, why is it that when you input something, the same search string of queries, you don't get the same results as somebody else when they put it in the search engine? It depends on some of the input or the way that the algorithm understands even your use of the platform. Right? So we'll come to understand this a bit more as we go on. The big part of what I want to focus on today is how algorithms are used in social media. Okay, because that's the big part. As media people, how do we make sure that the content that we're publishing, whether we are a media house or bloggers or whatever, how do we make sure that the content we're publishing is shown enough to the people that we are targeting without we having to like boost our post, okay? And as individuals as well, how come we see some content, we don't see some other content? What influences what content we see on our news feed? Is that okay? So that's what we want to understand. So they are used by social networks. Algorithms are used by social networks, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even YouTube, to determine what you see on your news feed. Typically, if you go onto YouTube, after being on YouTube for a couple of days, you see that when you go there, it will recommend some videos to you based on the videos that you've watched in the past. Have you noticed that? That's all an algorithm running that. Okay? Or sometimes you get on Facebook, for example, say to you, here's a story by, let's say, City FM or Joy FM that you may have missed. Because it's noticed that you're following a lot of content from that platform. As an individual, you start seeing that. Okay? So these are some of the things we want to understand. So how do they work? Okay? They are programmed technically, and if they work right, to deliver relevant content. That's important. Relevant content to users based on their engagement and use of the platforms. So there are a couple of things in the relevant content. You don't want to see content that you're not interested in or it's not relevant to you. Okay? And based on your use and engagement with the platform. So you hear things like likes, comments, shares, saves, things like that. Okay, so the things you like, the posts that you like, the comments that you put there, okay, because he also uses machine learning. So you can tell the kind of things that you're interested in. The posts that you share. Because ultimately when you like something, the peak of it is when you share it. You like something so much that you would share it to other people. So the algorithm looks at these things and says, he likes this, then let's give him more of that. Does that make sense? So ordinarily, that's how it should work. And also by the kind of people that you associate with. So the people in your network. The people in your network are all, let's say, watching this kind of station or they're consuming this kind of content, then you will do that. So typically, for example, we would have heard that during the US elections. Typical deep Trump supporters were seeing different things on Facebook from what other people were seeing. Because that's the kind of thing that they were interested in. Okay? Things that they would see, they say, this is fake news, whatever. And they would feed into it and they would say, this. Even today, some people believe in the States that there's going to be a day when Trump will come back, will be restored. Because there are people pushing out content like that. And because they follow those people, they see their content a lot more. People who don't believe in those things won't see those things even on Facebook. They don't even believe that they exist on Facebook. Does that make sense? And these are the things. So the more engagement that your content gets as a media person or as somebody who's publishing, the more likelihood that the algorithms will favor your content. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah. Now, the challenge is that all over the world, people have begun questioning whether or not indeed the social media platforms are transparent with us when it comes to the algorithms. Because sometimes it doesn't make sense, the things that you see on your platform. How come I'm seeing this on my platform, on my timeline? This is when we begin to ask questions. But they insist on that. So for example, you will find that in, I think 2019, Instagram, for example, tweeted something like this. We have not made any recent changes to feed rankings, and we never hide posts from people you're following. If you keep scrolling, you will see them all. Again, your feed is personalized to you and evolves over time based on how you use Instagram. The last bit is important. Evolves over time based on how you use Instagram. Does that make sense? But the point I'm making is that everything is there. Because the way that the algorithm works is sort by relevance, not by time. Does that make sense? On Twitter, you can sort by the latest post. And even on Facebook, you can highlight something that you want to see first. Some accounts that you want to see their posts first. All that happens. But ordinarily, the algorithm will sort out what you see first. Same way in search. Google search, the algorithm sorts out which post is number one, which number two, or whatever. So that's how this works. Again, let's watch this video which explains how Instagram's algorithm in particular works. Okay. So that was a very good video. It explains how Instagram's algorithm works. Having said all of this, one of the points I want to make is that if you look at all of this, then it looks like Mr. Algorithm is the biggest influencer on social media land. Because he determines almost everything that we see, doesn't he? But how fair is he with we the publishers, as media houses, and we the consumers of content online? How fair is he? Because sometimes we all have challenges with it. Is he showing the right things? So I would just want to go through some of the challenges that we have with it. There isn't enough transparency about how algorithms work. I've tried to explain it, but people also have questions and say, yes, they claim that it's based on my use of the platform, and my access on the platform, my history. But still, some things that I believe that I like, and I've been liking already, I don't see them anymore. I'm sure you get some of your friends asking, I don't see your posts anymore. Are you still on Facebook? So you question whether or not the algorithm is working the way that you claim it should work. That's the point I want to make here. So that's the first challenge we have with it. So we say my content is also not seen by enough people. Sometimes you feel that, let's say you are a blogger. You post something and you think that, when I posted the other one, I have 10,000 people seeing it. How come this one is not seen by enough people? Same number of people. Because my number of subscribers or followers haven't changed. So how come? Okay, that's another question we need to ask. So we're also asking whether or not the algorithm is working the way that it should work by posing that question. Now, how come two people don't see their timelines or their newsfeed don't look the same? You would have thought, this guy is my friend. We like almost the same things. So how come my newsfeed is different from his newsfeed? So there must be something the algorithm is doing which is different. Okay. Brands also feel that they are punished by the algorithm, so they will boost their post. I'm sure you've heard that before. So people will say that the Facebooks, the Twitter, the Instagram, they prioritize individual content and they don't prioritize brand content. So that brands are forced to have to boost their posts to get the reach and engagement that they want. So that's another challenge we have with algorithms. Doesn't seem to be fair to us. Then when it comes to politics, politicians will say that where there are like biases, so there's like, even in Ghana, there may be NDC and NPP. Some people say, how come enough of the NDC commentators, when they post on social media, it's not seen? Have you heard stories like that before? It's very, very popular in the States, where they will say some deep South Republicans, the things they post are not seen enough by people, or even the platforms will hide them or they will flag them as fake news. Okay, so is the algorithm that's picking that? Why is it doing that? Okay, these are all questions that we ask ourselves. And then how come fake news is allowed to thrive? But sometimes you see something and say, this must be fake news. How come the algorithm doesn't flag it as fake news and it's showing this to me? Okay, or content that you really are not interested in, and yet it's showing it to you. You keep seeing it on your timeline. I'm like, why? So these are challenges we have. What then can we do as media to kind of overcome these challenges and make sure that our content is seen as an individual? How can you also make sure that you're seeing the content that you want on your timeline? That's the last bit I want to focus on. So a couple of things. As media, we want to make sure that we are doing all the right things so that our content will be distributed widely and fairly and not get punished by the algorithm. Does that make sense? So one of the first things you want to do is grow your audience organically. Now that's very, very important. If I have 100 people who are really, really, really deep fans of my platform, then it means everything that I post, they will share it. Does that make sense? Yeah. The more my content is shared, the more it gets into other networks. Well, they all also have networks. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that your content, okay, is liked by enough people. And by doing that, and the best way to do that is to grow your community. So grow it from 100 to 200 to thousands and all the rest. The more people you have on your platform, the more likely that a good number of them will share your content. Does that make sense? Yeah. The more your content is shared and engaged with, the likelihood that the platform, the algorithms will favor you. So that's the first one. The second one is that post relevant content. This is very, very important. If your content is not relevant, people will not engage with it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay? So if you keep posting things that are just, to the trash, and your audience are not interested in, they are not likely to engage with it. And over time, the algorithms will start punishing you because they will notice that your content is not content people are keen on. Because remember, they exist to make money, to make profit. And the only way they make profit is by people engage, people being active on the platform so they can sell ads off the back of that. Does that make sense? And so if your content is not content that they want, and it's not getting the engagement that they want to see, then obviously they'll punish you because you are not allowing them to sell ads off the back of that. It's as simple as that. Okay? And then post user-generated content. This is very, very important. When I post something, and let's say it's about a topic that's being discussed on, let's say, CTF, and they retweet it. That's user-generated. This is user-generated. I posted it. When they retweet it, I get excited, don't I? The people within my community also see that my post has been retweeted or shared by CTF. And so as a media house, as a publisher, what you want to do is that sometimes the content that your users, your followers are posting, if they are relevant, share them. So that the people within their network also see it. So it grows your base. Does that make sense? It grows the reach and everything of you. Yes. One of the things some of the media houses do very well is that every time they do their infographics, for example, you find that almost everybody that's employed by that media house is also sharing the same infographic. Have you noticed that? So that they are growing the reach, because everybody has a network. Each one has a network. So they are growing the reach of that. And the algorithm will then favor them. And then post more native content. By native content videos, what I mean is that, you see, sometimes you either post the video directly onto the platform, or you go and take a link from YouTube and come and put it on the platform. Native content, native video is where the video is posted first on the platform. Does that make sense? If you do those, the social media platforms are more favorable to you than somebody who is just posting a link. In the same way, when you post a link, have a good caption. Don't just post a link, have a good caption. But they don't just want you to post a link. The caption then kind of introduces the content, the link that you put there. Does that make sense? So do those. And then post at the right time based on your analytics. There's a whole conversation about what's the best time to post on social media. Okay? But what you want to do is that over a period, if you're looking at analytics, you see that you get the most engagement, let's say between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, depending on the kind of people who are on your platform. So once you understand the way your platform is working, then post at those times. If you post at those times when your people are most active online, obviously you get more engagement. Then the algorithms will show more of your content to more people. But they realize that this content is trending, it's getting the engagement that they want. So they will show it to more people. Does that make sense? So use your analytics to decide what time to post. And then post more regularly and frequently. There's no point in posting today and waiting 2 weeks before you go and post another one. You have to be consistent in your posting. Doesn't mean post too many things, but be consistent. So also your followers will know what times you post. People get used to expecting your post, let's say at 9 o'clock every day or 10 o'clock every day. So they'll be there waiting for it, or they'll be looking forward to it, and they'll be sharing it. Does that make sense? Tag other relevant accounts. It's also very, very important. When you have relevant people who are vocal or influencers on the subject, when you post something, you tag them so that the people within their network will also see where you posted. Okay? Jump on and use the right popular hashtags. This is very, very important. Sometimes they'll punish you when you use too many hashtags. It's like you are baiting for engagement. No, but when you have the relevant hashtags, you can tap into the hashtags and give it to you. We also recently, what's the name of Oswald or whatever. So a lot of brands tap into that and they got a lot of engagement. But there were also brands that obviously didn't have any place there, like the condom brand and the rest who tapped into that one. Eventually they get punished by the platforms. But that's like it's like baiting people for engagement, if you understand what I mean. So that's another one that you want to watch out for. And ask questions and encourage comments from your audience. When you ask questions, it's like a call to action. People will then comment on your post. When your post gets more comments, then it means it's getting a lot of engagement and the algorithms will favor it. Yeah? And then I said it earlier, do not just post links. Add captions to your links when you post them. Then make decisions on content based on your analytics. Over a period, if you're watching what's going on, you look at it, the post analytics, you see which content your audience are more interested in, which content you need to post more of. Okay, so maybe you start off, you think, oh, you should be posting on, let's say, food or even like fitness or whatever. And at some point you find that rather the content that you're engaging with the most is the content about music, which may not be posting enough of, but then that's what they do. People like, so you start posting more of that kind of content. Are we good? So hopefully what I've done is try to get us to understand what algorithms are to start with, how they work, the challenges we have with them, and also how we can get around them. Hopefully I've been able to help you understand the subject a bit better. Thank you very much.
Now that was a good one. Speaking to us next is Mr. Justice Okai Alote. He is the program manager of Wikimedia Ghana User Group. He is an emerging digital engagement strategist and enthusiast whose core skills are in business development, social media strategy, management, content creation, and curation. He is also a Wikipedian in Ghana, leading efforts in improving Ghanaian articles on Wikipedia. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Mr. Justice Okai Alote.
Hello everyone, welcome again to today's M4M session. I'll be speaking on algorithms and you. My focus would be largely on social media algorithms. So according to Sprout Social, a social media marketing software, social media algorithms are ways of sorting posts in a user's feed based on relevancy instead of published time. So everybody's social media feed is different. What the social media platforms usually do is they pick your interest. So the posts you comment on them lot, the videos you watch, the things you Google, and they feed you with that kind of information. Usually for Facebook, a lot of their algorithms focus on what you interact with a lot on their platform. So a lot of the time, if you are commenting on the friends page, a lot of the time, usually that will be the first things you see anytime you go on there. Why they do this is because there are over 1 million of posts or comments or interactions happening online. And if they say they are pushing all those millions of things onto you, it's going to be a problem. So they usually sieve it and then put them into algorithms. And these algorithms are built specifically to make it easy for you to navigate your online experience. It's basically to make everything that you do online favorable, and also to spend more time on there, because you virtually be seeing a lot of the things that you are doing, and then you will be interacting with posts that you want to interact with. With Twitter, they have like a content preference setup where you can actually set up the things that you want to see on there. So the kinds of the subjects that you want to interact with a lot, the people that you want to interact with a lot, all these things are due to algorithms that are built by these platforms to make it easy for you to navigate them. So you might see that there are people who find Facebook more appealing than Twitter because the Facebook algorithm works much better to their satisfaction than Twitter. And there are people who find Twitter also much more fun or educative than Facebook, because they've been able to interact with Twitter so much that the algorithm there has been able to know what they want, and then it feeds them the things that they want. Spoiler alert, algorithms aren't necessarily perfect. There are so many ways that algorithms can go wrong. But in the end of my presentation, I'll give you a link to a video or a movie that explains algorithms better. And then once you are able to watch that video, it gives you the power to know what to interact with online and what not to interact with. I think yesterday I posted that anything that your Facebook or your Facebook timeline can be created to your satisfaction, because you have the power to see what you want to see and what you don't want to see. So when I get the aid that people are always complaining so much about the things that they see, I feel like maybe it's you that is feeding the algorithm. That is why you are seeing what you want to see. So sometimes you don't have to blame the algorithm, you have to blame yourself. So social media algorithms exist mainly to make life easy. If you run a B2B business, you are working solely to further the reach of your business. So how your business interacts with your customers online, the type of things that you are posting, and the ways on which you are commenting also fits the algorithm. There's also the belief that social media algorithms exist to push brands to pay premium for social ads. Usually, the people have that Facebook are restricting the algorithm so that maybe my page is not being seen a lot than maybe another person's page. What this means is that maybe you are not doing something right with your page. Even though some of those things might be right, you also have the power to do things right, especially when you are with your pages. If you are posting, say, a link, you don't have to post naked links all the time. The algorithm will see it as a spam. So anytime you are posting a link, there should be a backstory, or you describe what you are posting. Also, you shouldn't be always selling. There are some words you don't have to be constantly using, like buy this now, I'm selling this. The algorithm will pick it as a spam, and it wouldn't translate that into content that people would want to interact with. So usually there are various ways of going around those subjects to make it easy. So let's say I want to get people to maybe purchase a phone that I'm selling. Instead of saying buy the phone, I can just say, do you know the value of this phone? Maybe check this link to see more of it. Maybe the link moves you to maybe a page or a form where you feel to see maybe the price of the phone or any of those things. But because I don't say, I don't use the word buy now or sell, the algorithm can push that post further for a lot of people to see, rather than when you are using the buy now, because the algorithm, it sees those things, those words as spams, and usually don't push it that much. Also, algorithms don't work in vacuum. So usually you will notice that when Apple brought their new regulation, like their new security measures, where they now allow the user to block certain websites from crawling their backend to see what they are doing, Facebook became annoyed, because usually Facebook is a free service, and their main market basically is using the algorithm to feed you the things that they want you to see, and then in effect selling those data to advertisers to that's how they make their money. So you also have the power to see or not to see those things. And so everything that you are doing online, you have to make a conscious effort to be able to always check in the things that you post, make sure that you are posting the right things. For me, my personal philosophy is anything that I'm not going to say to anybody in person, I'm not posting online. And I've created my timeline in such a way that I want to see things that I want to see and not what anybody else is trying to sell to me. And so if I'm even going to buy from you, it means I've made an effort of actually going to your page and made it a thing to always see the things that you are posting. So the power, because of algorithm, the power is in our hands. We have the power to decide what we want to see or what we don't want to see. So I think a year or two ago, there was this movie, The Social Dilemma. The movie basically was about algorithms and how the various social media platforms are using it to their benefit, sometimes to the detriment of the users. And so certain Silicon Valley tech executives, some that don't work with the companies that they work with anymore, came together to do this movie. And this movie basically replicates how the various algorithms work in the various social media platforms. And so I have shared this link in the presentation. YouTube is free on YouTube from now to September 30th. So you can Google or you can go on YouTube, search the movie The Social Dilemma. It's about an hour and 30 minutes. Once you are able to watch that movie, it gives you a clear understanding of how to engage online, the things to engage with and not to engage with. So without much further ado, I think I'll end here. The previous speaker basically walked through majority of the things I've done. This is just a few of them I felt I need to share so that it will give you the understanding that you need. Because like I always say, the power is in your hands. How you interact with all the platforms will determine how they also feed you with content. Thank you.
To how social media or the new digital media has made the world a very small village. We have joining us all the way virtually Lily Edinam-Boche. Lily currently works as front-end developer. As an aspiring tech policy analyst, she speaks widely on issues related to the internet with particular interest in women and youth inclusion, accessibility, and cybersecurity. She coordinates the Ghana Youth Internet Governance Forum and is a member of the steering committee for the West Africa Youth Internet Governance Forum. Lily is also the board secretary for ISOC Youth SIG and chairs the Women and Youth Working Group for ISOC Ghana. She is a computer science graduate from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and is currently the community engagement manager and board member for Hack Lab Foundation. Outside the above listed, she hosts a weekly podcast called Pointers in 10, which shares nuggets on tech, career, and personal branding.
Hi everyone, my name is Lily Edinam-Boche and I've been asked to talk about algorithms and you. So we want to explore what algorithms are first, what they're used for, and essentially what the impact is, because you're in a literacy program and it's important that you vet beyond just knowing the algorithm. So asking questions like why, what, when, all the WH questions you can think about so that you're able to build a certain information around what algorithms stand for. So I'm going to try to do this in a very brief time because there'll be many information that will be shared to you currently where you are and the panel that will be speaking to you. So this will also add a bit of thinking to the things that you have to do and essentially point you to places where you can read some more. I'm able to do that so everybody is able to gather some more information beyond this presentation. So the word seems big, it seems too technical, it seems like something that only experts can know. But what's an algorithm? Think of it as steps you take in order to complete a certain task. So if you're going to show me how to prepare Ghana jollof, how would you do it? Should I put my rice before the water? Should I put water before the rice? How do you do yours? How do you do yours so that it's a work for you? That is what an algorithm is. If you're going to try to show somebody how to find that crown mall from, say, Medina, what are the steps you're going to take? That is an algorithm. So in computer language, an algorithm is a set of inputs that you give to a computer that it will follow, compute. It will compute over a certain time and return a certain result. So essentially, that's what algorithms are. But we see that sometimes algorithms have proven to have other things happening that essentially are not what we as users envisioned it to do because of certain biases that have come up. But let me give you an example of where you see an algorithm play out ideally. Maybe you wanted to go to the Accra Mall, like I mentioned, right? And Google gives you the shortest route, or you are in an Uber and Google calculates the shortest route. It uses an algorithm to say, it's a route calculation algorithm to say which one works well and which one is faster, based on things like the road, how much travel it is, things like traffic, and things like maybe the road is closed or whatnot. So those are some of the things that can be added, and then algorithm can help you do so that if you're trying to get to a place, it will take you there based on a calculation that is doing on a computer. So just to bring to you the implications of what algorithms do for us, when we talk about algorithms and you, people are able to build algorithms, developers can do that, but usually there's research that goes into the things that go into algorithms because of its very universal nature and the diverse group of people it seeks to serve. So their representation, and so you hear people say that we want more black developers, or we want more developers to come from these regions so that people can understand their thinking and able to make solutions that also would help them. So I mentioned early on that we've seen some implications now of algorithms and how it is not entirely working in the favor of users. Like we take, for example, biases, where maybe based on certain algorithms, black-skinned people are given more number of years in prison for crimes that certain white people can easily get away with, or maybe be handed over lesser sentences. And there are other times also that you have these algorithms having a reputation of being perpetrating fake news, leading to conspiracy theories, because they've been fed a certain data, they've been built in a certain way that they're able to do that. And also certain times you see that it is moving from what is right, what you think that is obvious, to behaving a certain way because of also the data that is being fed. So when it comes to algorithms and us as human beings, we want to question, because you are in this literacy program, I'm going to ask you that you question things that you see. You want to question what it is went into it and what the effect is currently, and how you can start advocacy to right the wrongs, right? If you are seeing that maybe there's an algorithm or software for credit scoring, and because you're from a certain region, it's not giving you money, but another person from a certain region is getting some certain money, you want to ask what went into it and how has the data that's going in there been calculated so that it serves everybody equally. Essentially, because you want to make technology a part of us and to work for us and to have us at the center. It's the reason why algorithms have to be questioned, and why you also have to take interest in what goes into it. You often see that some of the implications that come with algorithms are unintended, like because of your skin or because of your accent, a certain algorithm or a certain device can't understand you, and so you can't get access to certain information. Why is this so? Those are some of the conversations. So hopefully in about 5 minutes I've been able to tell you basically what algorithms are doing, what the implications are now, moving from fake news to conspiracy theories to even shady profiling and whatnot. And I'm going to point you to places where you can find some more. You can do a quick search on algorithms on Google, and you can find information from Khan Academy, from writings from Alliance for Affordable AI, the Web Foundation, the Internet Society. Many people have researched in these areas, and you can find information there. Thank you so much.
Speaking to us last but not the least, certainly, is Mr. Yauti K. Odum. He is the founder of Trotro Diaries, the largest virtual transport community in Ghana. He's a certified community manager and a Facebook icon of change. He's also been featured on CNN and is passionate about improving the commuting experience in Africa. Please, let's give it to him.
afternoon. So my name is Yawodu, as was mentioned earlier on, and I'm the founder for Trotro Diaries. So Trotro Diaries is the largest transport community in Ghana. And basically today I'll be sharing my experiences or talking about algorithms and you with a bit more focus on my personal experience and then also as a community manager of Trotro Diaries. So I think what we can all agree on is increasingly our society has become a digital society. True or false? Great. So is there anybody here who has a social media account? Anybody that has a social media account? Okay, everybody has a social media account. And so what it has become is that our lives are moving to digital. When we were growing up, we had all these games that we used to go out and then, play all these Mini, Papa, all this kind of stuff. These days, everything has moved digital. And so, okay, people are remembering. Yeah, but it's true, right? So what it has become is that our lives, a significant part of it, has gone digital. And so what that also means is that this is where we are building our capital as individuals or as businesses. So probably most of us or some of us might have, apart from our profiles, we might have our businesses or initiatives on digital, some of these digital platforms. True or false? Cool. So basically what we need to understand is that because our lives have gone digital, we need to start having conversations around some of these algorithms, because these are the things that are basically going to decide what people see or what we see. And so it's very important for us to understand some of these things. What we need to have at the back of our minds, and this is something that I learned very late and it went against me. These algorithms are changing every single day. And so you need to be updated on these algorithms, because today it works like this, tomorrow it changes. And I didn't understand it in the beginning. So what it does is that if you don't know where the algorithm has gone, you'll be doing things the old way and it will not be working. So I'm sure we all had some tips or tricks as to how to post stuff and all that in the past. That doesn't work now. Has anybody had that experience? So they keep changing every single day, and so you need to know where these algorithms are going in order to be able to benefit from them. So basically how I put it at this point of the conversation is, how do you make the algorithm your friend? Because if you don't make the algorithm your friend, Charlie, you'll be posting stuff. You want the comments, you want people to see and buy, it will not happen. That is because you haven't made the algorithm your friend. So there are three ways I think you can make the algorithm your friend. One is you need to understand the community guidelines that guide the platform that you're using. So I am predominantly Facebook. And so as a community now, I think about 2 or 3 years ago, I think this was in 2018 or 2017, Facebook actually changed their mission. And they decided to focus more on building communities. So if you pick your Facebook app now, you'd see that at the center, you have groups, and then now they've added pages. But they decided to focus on it so much. And I think it makes sense, because in the beginning, we built these profiles that were about us as an individual. But as human beings, what do we do? Okay, we grow up as individuals, but we're part of a community. And so we grow into these communities. So they have these guidelines based on all these false information and all that has been going on and all that. They have updated these community guidelines. And so for you to make the algorithm your friend, you need to understand what the guidelines are for the platform that you want to use. Because if you don't understand them and you break them, they are going to punish you. And it's crazy on Facebook now. The second thing is consistency. So what I've come to realize is that these platforms reward consistency. Because at the end of the day, what do they want? They want more people on their platforms, but not just people on the platforms, but they want people to what? To share. Because that's where these communities find their value. And so they want consistency, you posting consistently. That brings us to the next point, which is that posting consistently does not mean just posting some random stuff. They will punish you for that. They want you to post consistently, but then they are looking for quality. And the quality is communicated by way of likes, comments, or sharing. So I'll use Trotro Diaries as an example. So on Trotro Diaries, there's somebody like Nanati, or Neodo. If you go on our community, you find these guys. When these guys post, in a day, they can reach anywhere between 60,000 and 100,000 on Trotro Diaries. Now this is because, one, these guys have been posting consistently, but the other side of it is they are posting quality content. And so when they post, people are liking, people are commenting. So what that does is the algorithm looks at this and says that, oh, this guy or this lady is posting quality content. And so what eventually happens is that anytime any of these guys post, they push it out to more people. Now, why this is important is because, one, we established the fact that our lives have gone what? Digital. And so basically what it is that the algorithm is giving us as individuals the power to control what we see. I think Justice already mentioned that. So based on what you click, what you follow, what you like, the algorithm picks that and says that, okay, this person is interested in this kind of content. And so they begin to show you more of that content. Now, from a business perspective, where maybe you have a page, you have a group or something, and you want the algorithm to support you. What it does is that when you are sharing consistently, you understand the guidelines, and you're posting quality content. If it is a business, when the algorithm sees that, okay, this guy posts more quality content, right? So for example, who knows Teacher Kujo or any of these other content guys in Ghana? You realize that sometimes even when you're not following some of these guys, you see their content. That's basically the algorithm saying that, oh, this person has good content. If you go to YouTube, somebody like Wodemaya, the algorithm sees that, oh, this guy is posting a lot of quality content. They push their content to even people that are not following them. And so from a business perspective, if you have a page or a business or whatever, you're trying to push. When you make the algorithm your friend, basically what's going to happen is that the algorithm is going to push your content to people that they think might find it useful. Now, imagine that you wanted to reach 1,000 people, right? Let's just say the total number of people in Ghana that were using Facebook were 1,000. If because you are posting quality content, you've made the algorithm your friend, the algorithm has already pushed organically your content to like 300 or 400 people. What's going to happen? You only need to spend what? Money on reaching what? 600 people. Whereas if the algorithm wasn't your friend, now, Charlie, you have to pay money to reach all these guys. I don't know if that makes sense for you guys. Okay. So that's one of the reasons why it's important to make the algorithm your friend. The other side of it is that once you're posting consistently quality content, what happens? More people are seeing your posts. Now, the more people that are seeing your posts that are finding it relevant, what would they do? They will share your content. And so at the end of the day, if it's a business post or whatever that people find relevant, or it's videos or whatever that you're doing, these guys are also going to share it. So whatever it is that you are doing gets to what? Reach more people. I think I've already mentioned on you potentially spending less on adverts. Now, it's important to the platforms, right? Because as I mentioned, Facebook changed its mission. Now they are trying to help build communities. And so for Facebook, they need to ensure that some of these things are being applied when it comes to their mission. So for example, I don't know if anybody runs a community, Facebook group here. Okay, so what's happening now is that in the beginning, Facebook groups were not a big thing. So Facebook was giving more support to pages and all that kind of stuff. But literally, now that these communities have grown, Facebook is making all these tools available to the communities because they want to build communities. So as a community manager, what I have now is that I have the opportunity to review the content that comes onto my community. After that content has come on, Facebook has gone to the point where they have what they call group quality. So me as an admin, I need to make sure that the posts that are coming onto my community is top notch. But then another side of it is that they have given us tools like moderation alerts. And so I'm able to go in there and set some keywords. If somebody comes in there, uses some insults, some false language and all that, I can flag these things so that I get an alert and I can remove it. If you don't do that, what happens now is that me as a community manager, I get punished by Facebook. So when you go to your group quality side, you see Facebook has removed this post or this comment and all that. If I as an admin manager, I approve a post that goes against Facebook's guidelines, I get punished. So it's either Facebook reduces my reach, or it got to a point, if somebody went on Facebook and searched for church rights, they couldn't find it. And sometimes, Facebook is distributing your content as a community. So on average, we can reach about 100,000 people plus in a day. But once you break these guidelines based on the content and all that, the algorithm begins to punish you. So you realize that the number of people that you are recording on a daily basis as active begins to reduce. And then when people are posting like false news, insults and all that, all these kind of language that goes against the algorithm, I also get punished. So this is like another way that it's important for you to pay attention to the algorithm. So how it goes against you, there's reduced content reach. You can even lose your page. So there are a couple of communities in Ghana that were actually closed down. So these guys had probably 100,000 people. So imagine you built a community that has reached 100,000, 200,000, and then you wake up one day and the community is gone. The page has been closed down or something. This is what happens when you go against the algorithm. So I hope I've been able to touch on a couple of ways that algorithms matter, how you can make algorithms work for you, and then how we can build our social or digital capital. Thank you very much, and then I'm sure there'll be time for questions or something. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, all too soon, the day has already come to an end, and I am sure that the mystery of algorithms have been demystified. We all know how algorithms can affect us, how we can use them, and even their impact on us. This is to remind you that M4M is brought to you by Fatlands GH in partnership with Goethe Institute Library and CTM Afri, and sponsored by B25 Media and Pick Rate Dynamics Limited. Thank you so much for joining us. On the next episode, we will see you. Thank you.